It's lovely to see you, and we're delighted that at last we're going to hear the full unexpurgated version of your adventures. So, over to you. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for I've always wanted to sail across the Caribbean for as long as I can remember. Since being introduced to sailing by C.S. Forrester, who taught me to sail. Reda didn't, but she did trust me to come with me. She didn't believe I was going, but we set out. Finally in 2021. Intended to go in 2020, but something happened that delayed a few things. COVID in the way. And in fact, our first year of cruising, we were quite often the first tourists to visit places for 2 years. And one of the reasons we ended up making a landfall in Antigua was they had the easiest COVID protocols. So, there's all sorts of factors that come into cruising plans. So, we've got a few pictures that Reda's put together. Reda was the documenter of our travels. She ran an Instagram that many people looked at, called Reda Chris&Reda, and so our landfall, my landfall, is English Harbour, Antigua, and just a few. It's quite beautiful, and it's quite easy why I wanted to arrive. I felt quite chuffed. Reda didn't do the westbound transatlantic with me because she had to go back to her mother in Lithuania. And so I set out with a hitchhiker, and I got to English Harbour and felt quite chuffed, quite pleased with myself. And 2 weeks later, these guys started turning up. They'd rowed across. They'd set out from almost the same place as me, and took a little bit longer, but they'd actually rowed across. First of all, these 4, groups of 4 blokes turned up, then the 2s, and then women. And then I think the one that really put me in the place was 4 women that were breast cancer survivors, and they'd come across trying to raise money for breast cancer. I thought, okay, that's everything. I haven't achieved a great deal at all. Because one of the things I'm going to say, I'm going to talk about westbound later. The easiest sail I think I've ever done, easier than going across the channel, is actually sailing from Gran Canaria to the Caribbean. It's easy. It's all about just making decisions, preparation, and just going. But let's have a few pictures of the.
Is it mostly downwind?
It's almost all down. So it's not even worth that. It's a beach. It's a broad beach. I've got a few pictures just showing just how easy it is. But cruising the Caribbean, and I think a lot of these, if you just go through quite quickly, just have some images of the Caribbean and why one might want to sail across. That's probably Barbuda, which is probably one of the most beautiful beaches, Princess Diana Beach. I actually clicked on it. Sailing in the Caribbean is, if someone was to design somewhere for sailing, they would come up with something like the Lesser Antilles. It's all just cruising on a nice beach in 20 knots of wind and sunshine. There is a few complications. Each crossing. There are some charts actually, if you're not familiar with the Lesser Antilles. It's a chain of islands. There's a steady easterly wind of about 20 knots in the same season, and about a knot of current. And so all the sailing is on almost a beam reach. Sometimes a bit fine, sometimes a bit broader, but it's a reach. Except for your departure and your arrival at one of the other islands. Because those of you who've sailed in the Balearics or the Dodecanese, you'll know about acceleration zones on the edge of an island, but you get that. And so, you know, you're sailing always with, more or less always with one reef and a couple of holes in the Genoa, and as you approach St Vincent or you approach St Lucia or you approach any of the islands on a reach, you just have to put the second reef in, sometimes the third. And you can see it. And those who've sailed in the Canary Islands, it's exactly the same. You get this acceleration zone and you reach. But when you get there, you anchor. What's that? That looks like. Yeah, if you go a bit quicker, because we've got quite a few to get through. Yeah, sorry. It's life. One of the things I think is different from what we've done and you're sailing is that you do day sailing and quite often go to a marina. We, I think, of the 1,000 or so nights on the boat we had, we were in a marina about 25 times. Most of that was in Horta or Gran Canaria. It's life at anchor. You live at anchor. Your anchoring has to be, well, it has to be successful. You've got to be confident. If you're not confident, you do it again. And what's difficult, that looks like Deshay. If anybody watched the Death in the Caribbean,
Oh wow.
that's the film set. Living it. I'd never heard of Death in the Caribbean, and I started sending these pictures, and my sister started saying, "Oh, you're at whatever it's called, San Marie." No, San Marie's on the other side of the island. Deshay, lovely place in Guadeloupe.
Is the holding?
Sorry?
Is the holding good?
Generally, yes.
It's in sand.
It's mostly in sand. If it's, I think I checked every single time. He died. You inspect it physically and physically.
What sort of depth do you tend to?
Right. Okay. Now, depends what nationality you are. If you're American, you don't want anyone anywhere near you. They're absolutely paranoid by another boat within 20 metres, 50 metres, because I think they're sort of so litigatious conscious. If you're the Brits, you know it's a Brit boat, they're way out there, because they're sort of paranoid of banking anything like less than 8 metres, because the tides. Because the tide range is about somewhere between 20 and 30 centimetres on a big tide. So you go in, if you touch, you just back off a bit and drop the anchor. Your biggest problem is all the other boats. So it's all about anchoring in positional sense. You're always going to let out 30 metres, so you need to have that distance around you. And generally it's really successful unless you're in the lee of a big mountain where the wind swirls around and you think you've worked it out, and suddenly at 2 o'clock in the morning you meet another boat and you sort it out and get a bottle of wine out, and you make a good friend. It's very sociable in that respect. Most of our best friends were when we sort of physically met camping. But it's all about anchoring, and you've got to be confident. Otherwise, you're going to be quite asleep.
So, what was the depth typically?
We'd normally anchor in 2-3 meters. Normally,
Oh, right.
yeah.
Okay. So easy to dive.
Yeah, easy to dive. There's a few islands where it's not, where it shelves. So a few anchorages where it shelves steeply. Saint Pierre, and there's lots of obstacles. So you anchor deeper because otherwise you're going to be very close to the coast. And there's a few islands which I think will show you anchorages where you do the classic Caribbean anchor. You drop your anchor and then you carry on going backwards towards the shore, and then you take a light shore type palm tree, and so you just sort of Mediterranean style anchorage, and you normally employ a boat buoy. Normally, because you want, it's about giving a bit of helping the little local economy.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Sorry, what does the boat boy do?
he ties the rope that you give him
Oh, I see.
to the palm tree. Something you can do yourself because you've got your dinghy on the deck or you're towing it ashore, but you make a donation to the local economy. I wanted to point out, so the east coast of the Caribbean, you don't anchor. All your life is on the west coast of the western sides of the islands, which is really, really gentle. The difference is quite considerable. I think that's probably, where's that? It's like Saint Pierre, Martinique. What's interesting, all the islands have got slightly different characteristics, personalities. Everybody keeps asking us, which was your favourite? It's difficult to say because they're all so different. For doing activities, I suppose this is probably Martinique, because they've got great infrastructure, so there's public service, public transport, you can go and explore places. I think our favourite little place to anchor was Bequia. Made a lot of friends there. Most beautiful was, well, Antigua is difficult to beat Antigua, and then if you really want the Caribbean experience, the further south you go, down to the Grenadines, it gets really.
All my videos or something is where I take him before corner because I see next one when will be next island already you can see when good clear weather, but I watching in front of boat because I see how he start leaning because it will hit wind and it is sometimes it's like squall coming through, particularly like through higher mountains. So very unexpectedly. So I loved when I see boat in front of us going because I knew what I would expect. Because actually I'm not so good in this one. Both suddenly like on one side, and I like it's like intense.
Peter will recognise that. I believe Lynn does as well. St Lucia, probably visually one of the most attractive islands, but actually of all the islands, the cruisers are less comfortable in St Lucia than anywhere else. I think both Reda and my daughter and all the guests seem to be female, didn't feel comfortable in St Lucia. I think it's one of the islands where the divisive economy is at its most extreme. The haves and the have-nots, and you did feel. I made friends there because bloke. And captain, always respect, always a gestus captain. Even just walking in the local town, Soufrière, they seem to know you're the captain of a boat. I don't know how, but
But not only they know.
But it is iconic. This is St.
It's that,
Vincent.
it's that captain's hat that you
Yeah.
wore.
But they see us. I first time came across this is actually a very different an island, and it is limited amount of people. So I thought when you go in here like in Kimpton, people see new face. There was same, and they like. I like coming from shop and they say, there, he gone there. And I thought, they watching me. They know
I lost one
I am
with
from-
Reda and a friend, but they knew where they is.
they see all the time. Yeah.
And of course, you can't not. Oh, right, okay. Did you recognise the? No, you probably didn't.
It is like more images.
Pirates of the Caribbean, St. Vincent, Wellington, and Cumberland Bay. And of course, you're always going to get. Oh, this is the Mediterranean style anchoring. So you drop your anchor in about 24 metres or 25 metres of water, and you just carry on going back. Take the line ashore, and it means that you can get a lot of boats close to the shoreline, and without bashing around. And it's
On the whole, was it calm at night?
generally, well, the thing is you're on the
leeward side.
the leeward side, and it is calm. The weather, the season, beginning and end, it can be a little bit. We did go into Cumberland Bay, and it was a great swell heaving in because the wind was coming from somewhere else. Generally, the trades make it quite protected on that side. But yeah, we did more than one season. So we took the boat off the water in Grenada. So you got the joys of doing boat maintenance. It's so much nicer to do it in Grenada than Hailing Island. Except you get eaten and bitten by things with lots of legs and but yeah. There's dogs. Everywhere I walk, dogs followed me. I don't know why. But the weather, particularly at the beginning and the end of the season, can be quite variable. You can get some heavy rain. In fact, the locals don't call it the hunting. They don't call it the hurricane season in Grenada. They call it the wet season. And when, oh yes, there's always rum. When it rains, it really does rain. It's not so much lots of drops coming down. It's solid water with a few bubbles going up to the sky. St. Lucia again. It's difficult not to photograph sunset after sunset. And we've probably got about. Oh right. Oh right. Okay.
Can you turn the sound up?
This is.
Everybody likes to be in my place instead of me, 'cause I'm the king of bongo, baby, I'm the king of bongo. Go away to the big town where there is a lot of sound. From the jungle to the city, looking for a big crowd. So I play my boogie for the people of the city, but they don't go crazy when I'm bending over, baby, I'm ready. That's the bongo, that's the bongo. Baby, when I come.
What are the seasons?
There's two seasons.
But what
There's a wet season, which is from end of. The tourists call it the hurricane season. So end of June, the weather starts breaking. It gets quite turbulent.
Oh yes, and both
So doing both, and then to the end of November, and then the season is December to.
Okay, look,
When it comes to
It's just pouring rain.
One of the sayings there is for hurricanes, June too soon, July go away. That's what I remember. It just goes on like that.
Although the locals don't call it a hurricane season, just after we left, they got clobbered by a horrendous hurricane that decimated. And we were trying to text and people we knew, Carriacou was absolutely decimated, and that was the beginning of July. No, sorry, no, it wasn't even then. It was May, wasn't it? It was May. Came early, really early.
How did you cope with that? I mean,
Well, we
what did
were
you do?
in the Atlantic by then. We were on our way back.
Right.
You don't cope.
But all these photos what we took
everything
when
gets
I
trashed.
look back,
Yeah.
it is nothing the same. They already will be everything different because same as Barbuda, it is no one palm tree. Everything was like brushed away.
It's desperate.
And,
They lose everything. And as a sailor, there are various so-called hurricane holes which have got the reputation. The hurricane hole in Carriacou, every boat was lost. No, what you've got is modern weather forecasting.
So you avoid.
You go. You can
Yeah,
cover,
all of them
you can
left.
cover 400
Yeah.
miles. So everybody in the Caribbean went down to Tobago, Trinidad and Tobago, and they were there. Even the ferry boats went there.
Wow.
Everybody just went to Trinidad and Tobago. Everybody who stayed was absolutely trashed. There's YouTubers, some of you may be aware of, Sailing Fair Isle. They documented all those people and the locals, and then the rescue operation. It was quite sad. But anyway.
You said that you anchored rather than picking up moorings. There's a
Oh
moorings.
yeah. So all the charter boats pick up moorings.
So there are moorings around.
Yes, totally unregistered, unregulated, and it's really to serve the charter market. Various people I've got into conversation with Peter. I've got into conversation about you need a boat boy, particularly the charter boats, a boat boy to lift to attach the lines to the mooring. Those who try to do it with a boat hook, quite often, I've rescued a few.
Oh wow.
And a few boat hooks, and a teenager. But yeah, furthest. Oh yes, that's a rum factory. The previous one was Mayroon down in Tobago Keys. So there's a bit all over the place because
Yes, it is chaotic because
the computer.
in 3 years it is difficult to put that we visited this island particular time. No, we visited so many times to pick up guests and again to deliver them because like quite a few. Eliza came probably maybe twice at least. Monica came like 3 times or 4 times. So all when coming and leaving were aeroports comfortable because some guest was coming like driving to Paris and from Paris going as internal in Martinique and Guadeloupe is like internal for them flights to France. So they were coming and leaving. So we so many times repeating and I tried to put pictures and pictures going by date taken. So 3 times in this is everything so messed up that I was panicking.
But that looks like Clark.
Yeah, this was, no,
Clark's
it was
Court
in France.
Grenada.
No, it was in Martinique, I believe.
That's one thing, okay.
But yeah,
Right.
Can I just ask what the fish was before?
tuna.
The
It
fish.
is tuna.
Oh, tuna. Oh, was it?
Yes. It is like most often probably tuna, barracuda.
Tuna.
Local seed barracuda, it is like long fish, quite scary look. And he like caught a few this yellow fish, how this?
Mahi.
Yeah, but they very sad because they in couples swimming. If you caught one, it's been one single for the rest of life. So
About fishing, I did see, as you'll see in some of the other pictures, I did catch quite a few fish. I quite like fishing when I'm sailing, and fed myself across the Atlantic.
Here is,
But
one
in
of
the
biggest,
Caribbean, you don't eat fish north of Guadeloupe.
it is one of biggest anchors.
But south of
probably
Guadeloupe, yeah, Cicateria. Cicateria is a disease. It produces a toxin, and it's a problem north of Dominica particularly.
Sorry. You were at the top of the mast there for a moment.
Yeah, he like quite a few times needed to climb and I needed to winch him.
Yes.
Because I like physically need to winch him. So,
Yeah, I started off the cruise, I could prusik up the mast. But now, sorry, it's a single
No, I know.
technique
That's the guy I do. I
for,
know. What's he?
rock climbing. These days, I think Reda's strength with the primary winches is greater than mine ability to actually climb a single
here
But
this
it's
is-
important, as you'll see it later on, it's important to go up the mast on a regular basis to fix the lights, fix the Windex, which breaks often, birds and things like that, but also to actually look at your rig. And just by being up there, you catch things early. But
Here is like Antigua bar where everybody on ceiling putting names, and including this rowers, and we left like message, and everybody who packing here, who planning now to cross back to Europe.
yes.
So this is like not in particular order, but this when you see them, they actually your friends because you can discuss what's going on, how weather, what you're planning when you're departure, so you know. And all this like, oh, I rowed this beach and I like now, as foreigner, I understand that beach is boat because it is she. So, or rowing some that finally we make up. And all these messages for me when I was taking photos, for me make sense because I understand what about they talk. How people put effort, and all of them there who coming, they not tourists, they were in some way on the boats, came from Europe. So it is like, and of course for me was like, also like English history, like Nelson
That was
Dockyard.
Antigua, wasn't
And yes, this Antigua. It is before departure,
Yeah,
and it
just
was
before.
like, we
What
put
was the
as well
shocker?
our message.
was the number of boats that come back, because we're going to talk about at length our return journey, which was so much more difficult. It's easy to sail to the Caribbean. It's so difficult to sail back. That's really why our 1 year Atlantic
I
circuit
want to
took 3.
interrupt as well. All these boats is ropes can see ties that they have some weight in soil, so they tied up if hurricane will hit, and all the like in mountains around, so they in this hole with the expectation that they will be safe during the hurricane.
So, so unlike the UK, as well as propped up, they're actually tied down. And this is the safest place to leave your boat in the Caribbean. It's the Grenada Marine in St George's
It
Bay.
was Shirley Heights, which I took that
Sorry about that.
not. It is like ordinary how.
Bathing,
Oh God!
set yourself down.
I put in front of all.
Doesn't matter.
But
Right.
now, no, going all around.
Right there, that's a tuna. That's food for days.
It is for the France, one of biggest.
And then Martinique is the centre of the French island of Martinique. It's the centre of the Caribbean safe sea. La Marine, if you thought the Solent was busy, La Marine has probably got more services, more boats. Most of them are anchor, but you can get things done. We went there to get things done. So having a look at the rig. You're back to Antigua, which is interesting.
Yes, this is what I was talking about.
okay,
Is the proportion of monohulls to catamarans like
Oh,
the same
right,
as
the
in
charter
Australia?
market, all the skipper charters are catarans. And they, I talked to quite a number of the skippers. Basically from La Marine, they pick up their passengers, because they are passengers, and they go down to Tobago Keys and back to Martinique, which is something that we took a few weeks to do. They do it in a week, motoring most of the time, and bang, 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 and next lot. But yeah, so they're catamarans, almost all of them. they hardly ever sail.
Here, this I took pictures from the coast because all boats when coming here, they just crossed Atlantic. So I knew that what they first see, because I didn't cross forward way, but it's this first what they see the ship behind. So for me, like, look, all this important what I would like take pictures, like places what is memorable. Here it is like very ordinary. He taking shower from the heat of the bag and clothes drying. Everybody naked swimming. It's me working hard inside.
So bathing, you soak yourself, you swim, then you have a rinse with this salinated into the chimney, black shower bag. Tobago Keys. Okay, Tobago Keys is probably the jewel in the crown as far as people go, sailing people go to the. These tiny remote islands, and it's the only place you get currents other than the one knot current coming through the islands. Tobago Keys, you always get tides, and which actually catches a few people. We rescued a family of children, mother and children. They were swept out through the reefs. So we picked them up and returned them back to the boat. I would have liked to have been the skipper, because the woman and the child, two children that we rescued, I don't think she was best pleased.
This is Indian River.
Right, and then the other jewel, as far as we were concerned, the jewel in the crown for us was actually not the sailing destination, it was Dominica. And you moor the boat on a mooring, and you get off, and you go and explore inland, up the mountains, and this is not the mountains, it's Indian River, which is part of the Tobago Keys, Indian River, which you may recognise from Pirates of the Caribbean 2. Really atmospheric, and some great trekking through the jungles and up in the hills in Dominica. This is Tobago Keys, where you anchor behind the reef, although they do like you to use buoys, and it's the same. They charge you because it's a nature reserve. It's the same for a buoy as it is to anchor a buoy. And Grenada. They're right there. That's a rum factory. Clark's Court. You've got to sample the rum. And we're back into what's the previous one was solution. That looks like Caracu, and that is English Harbour, Antigua. So it's trotting around the place. So it's not sequential. And both Duché and Martinique have Port de France, koalas stomping around the place slowly. We spent a little bit of time in Fort de France. Fort de France is quite interesting, it's the capital of Martinique. Quite a number of US sailors, health tourists, anchor in Fort de France, use the French health service.
It is how shopping was being coming, and it was shopping just with shopping Harley.
So your most important possession of the boat is the dinghy. Actually, it's the workhorse. It's your local car to get anywhere. We actually got through the dinghy often. The Caribbean sunshine is quite harsh on things like dinghies. But dinghies are really important. Where's this river?
Can't hear this music because.
Yes, that's why you put it on there. Yeah, we use public transport a lot as a cruiser. We do.
Sound. But it is incredible how this music all the time everywhere, and actually. Is this Lucan here? No, it's Lucan here. But it is typical Caribbean, and it is incredible. And they like quietly knocking like to window, and was nowhere to stop. And I didn't realize how they here. But they very about this transport, like it is public transport, and they very friendly. They stopping. They even stop going around the road. Old women to take bags, driver, and it is so nice society how built. They look like people so taking care of them.
It really impressed me in several places
Yeah,
where the bus,
just
you're on a scheduled bus, go back to where you want to get to.
but this is
And it
jolliness.
stops, driver stops, switches the engine off, actually helps his elderly passenger off the bus and walks her to her front door, makes sure she gets in the house
Children
safely,
as well. Children
sees her all
from
right,
school.
comes back on the journey, and then the journey can continue. And no complaints, that's accepted, that is proper behaviour. And other examples of Carriacou, you go on the bus back to where your anchorage is, and bus goes on this, you're following it on the map, on your flat. Where are you going? But you will take someone to their house if he feels they should be taken to their house. That's proper behaviour. But yeah, we got a lot from public transport. We're very friendly as well, and it's always a party. And of course, we were in Martinique twice for carnival time, and it's a good 3-day carnival. And lots of dancing. It's probably Tobago Keys and swimming with the turtles. You didn't get down to Tobago Keys, did you? No. Yeah, swimming with the turtles. It's got to be done.
How did you film underwater?
GoPro.
Sorry?
GoPro.
Yeah.
This carnival as well, you cannot hear sound, but it is drums going like bands which so, it is hypnotizing music. And everybody joined this crowd, and it is going not in one street, they're going across, and they sometimes need band to stop to let others to go. After this they cross it, and you just follow like hypnotized with this music. And they had, because coming before probably Easter, they have like white day, red day, black day, and everybody trying to contribute to put some clothes, and even like sailors, so that white day is in that white day. But we end up in somewhere end of town, and we thought how we come back, because it is just like you just follow this band in front of going, and everybody like crazy, and it is so like music.
It's on May Festival. Yeah, because the entire audience are actually, the spectators are actually part of the carnival procession. You see them
Yeah, and
go
they
along
sell
and then
it
you
this
join them
on
behind.
sparkles on face or something like to top up this that you can. Look, I work in parts here.
You're working very hard. So
Yes, my part was to look after sales, and inside was going on. So here was like already the season started when constantly raining. So if we would stay longer, it is just constantly rain and same hot.
So yeah, the way the
Yes,
season
it's like-
works is that people gradually move south towards Grenada, and they slow down, and they get to Grenada and they stop. And there's people been there for years now. they're so slow, they're still there. I think that's quite new.
Yeah, just a mountain.
Yeah, we tried to get up, and then that's Beckway, one of my favourite. That's Dominica, some really big walks. That's my daughter Eliza, palm tree, in probably Mayhew, that's Mayhew. And I was going to do lots of this for Peter's benefit. Yeah, you're always doing maintenance, you're fixing something. It's maintenance, boat maintenance in exotic places. We're back to the river. And we're back leaning on things. There we go. Caribbean, it's idyllic. It's as a sailor, you've got to work at it all the time. You're always fixing something, building, repairing something daily. You're doing maintenance, but your difficulty is getting parts. So you've either take with you, or you phone up daughters that are coming out. Right, there's some parts. They go, make sure you bring them with you. Yeah, you'll get them through customs, okay, but don't talk about it. It's getting the parts. Big jobs on the boat. Labour is skilled and relatively cheap, but the difficulty is parts and bits, because in most cases it's got to come from the States or from Europe, and parts are expensive. But, so, westbound. Westbound's easy. You set the boat up and it goes. And if you've got a friend like we've got with Horatio, so it's, this is heading down towards Cape Verde. Put the spinnaker up. And this is Horatio, the hydrovane. He steered the entire way. I never steered. The only other person who steered other than Horatio was Reda coming into anchor. Horatio did a whole lot. This is Felix. Reda had to go back to Lithuania just before I was about to leave. And some people, okay, all these youngsters that have been accosting us on the beach at Palmer's, Peter will know about these, there's hundreds of them. Young people hitchhiking across the Atlantic. You can take choice. I interviewed dozens. They didn't know they were being interviewed, but I interviewed them. I was advising them if someone was to ask you this, what you would say, and their answer was quite informative. I was specifically looking for a German, male, young, single, and it was quite easy.
Why German?
Felix. I hadn't met a German I didn't like, actually, I'll be honest. I wasn't going to take an English youngster. There aren't any. There are no English young people with a sense of adventure in Las Palmas. It's Germans, Danes, Slovakians, Poles, quite a few French, and the person I was going to say, he mustn't have qualifications, he mustn't be experienced, but he should have sailed once to find out he wasn't seasick. And found young Felix, who was between his degree and PhD, and had a great time. Oh yeah, our boats are Sunfizz. You meet another fun Sunfizz, instant friends, sharing all these stories, sharing parts, sharing anecdotes. And I left with another German couple actually, which we met up several times later, and we decided to go together because I had recommendations from Peter and Iridium Go, so I was downloading grid files, and so I had weather. They didn't. When they did their first transatlantic, they had an Iridium phone, but it got so expensive. So we've got to stay in radio contact, and I was giving people all the... so we set out from Las Palmas together, and we're motoring, and they were pulling ahead. As soon as the wind got up, I'm afraid I lost them on the first day. I left them behind by the end of the afternoon of the first day. So they took another 10, 12 days from me because they got stuck in the wind.
And
Anyway.
That's a really lovely couple, and we met before with them. We met in Anchorage in Las Palmas, because Las Palmas actually is very tight anchorage. And when dropped anchor was a New Zealander or Australian flag boat. He just was watching when dropping anchor because you're going back, and I always worried because I'm driving back, and I said, he in front, I will hit back boat behind me because it's no 30 meters where to put like line. So And they were start chatting and like make with his friends. And next one, he was fixing something.
I fixed it.
German
I fixed it out.
And finally, when I arrived to Antigua, they lost this German couple. So poor German couple, without weather predictions, we met them in Guadalupe. She came and we were wearing masks, and woman came to me and she like looked at me and said, "Who is she in front of me?" Because I'm quite tall and she's not very big. And like I realized it is this German couple. It took for them 43 days. They start counting food, how much food they have for passage. Because I said, maybe they died, maybe they still in the ocean, they got in doldrums and you cannot move nowhere. Because if it's smaller boat, but they were well organized. But because when you're meeting people, it is strange, she had 2 heart attacks or 2 strokes, I can't remember. And she had replacement of hips and couldn't have children because as well some operations and something. And like you're meeting sometimes once in life and you're getting very nice friends. Like with this from New Zealand, now in Australia live. And you think we're so good friends, we never will meet again because world's so big and you just like, okay, I'm very stressed, I'm depressed, I worry how I will cross, how, because some couples, they sold house to buy big boat and they left around the world and you meeting them was like, I think from Croatia. And she obviously was stressed and I thought I already stressed, but it is, I had a lot of rum and I thought I just but she was obviously, and 3 children, which children like 115 probably already was like standing like shifts and 2 smaller ones. And she like worried because it is like not everybody's cup of tea to go around the world or the boat. So sometimes meeting people and I never will see them again, but I sometimes worry about them, how they will end up their destiny. And this German couple, I thought, they don't have children, they like a really nice couple, but maybe something happened, maybe just lost in the ocean, and nobody knows. So I like, yes, and in Guadalupe we met them again, and it's like everything was fine, and we went to restaurants and everything, we just, like, yeah, but it took a lot of
So
them.
this is a mahi, and that's probably enough to feed a family of 4 for 2 days. But
We got a lot of them.
I was catching one a day, and as soon as I let the lure out, the reel was screaming. That's a flying fish. Now I took that one because it was quite funny. It came through the heads, the hatch. The toilet, and I think
they like look like some like butterflies when you go
so
from the boat.
every morning you have to do the rounds of the boat, pick them up, and fill them up. And sadly, Felix managed to chuck a couple of live ones back, but if you're not, they die so quickly. You've got to pick them off the deck. But yeah, sailing westbound. Obviously towards the setting sun in the evening, or it could be the rising sun behind you. Now, favourite sail. That small spinnaker. It's gone.
It was last one for the
Oh right, that small spinnaker was set, this one, 3 days and 3 nights, didn't touch a thing. So stable. I even reefed the main at one stage and kept the spinnaker up. This has got great commentary, but you can't hear it. Basically, blue sky, blue sea, few bits, and it's got some really nice noise of just surging through the water. And did most of it, the westbound. So, showing the navigation bit, which was really fun.
Was this a
To
spinnaker?
cross the, sorry.
Is that a spinnaker?
Jellicoe. Oh, hang on, I wasn't looking. I did take a Jellicoe, it was a asymmetric, absolutely useless. No
Perfect day on the Atlantic.
Whereas the symmetrical spinnaker, old
Blue
school,
sea.
Was really
Blue sky.
stable, but the asymmetric
Good wind
was just
good
useless.
speed.
We used it on the way back.
and
Anyway,
occasionally
really
little
used it
bits
properly.
of sargasso weed, which just happens to be not present as I press record.
So that
No.
would be the
Just
symmetrical
listen
spinnaker.
to the noise.
Yeah, such a stable sail. and wind vane self-steering just crack. And we're doing about 7 knots, almost continuously. And with the north equatorial current, we're doing 8 knots over the ground. Something more 8 knots. 21 days from Las Palmas. I mean, there we go. We've got the reef there. But most of the time, it's you're on a broad beach. I used predict wind and the routing, which is an algorithm routing, computerized suggestions, and it kept telling me when I was going west, head further south, boy, keep going south. I started getting these texts from Eliza. You do know I've got an airline ticket to Antigua. Why are you heading to Brazil? But yeah, we went down to 11 degrees. Almost, just 11 degrees north of the equator. So this is approaching Antigua, putting the Q flag up. It's Felix doing his land ho. I had to tell him how to do the land ho, but you haven't got the land. You can't hear the land ho. And that's coming into English Harbour, Freelands Bay. This is Freelands Bay. This is English Harbour. So our approach is through there, and that's an anchor in Freelands Bay. And as I said, I felt mighty chuffed. Right, we're going straight into this. This is actually getting to the Canary Isles, as Peter will just say, is far more difficult than sailing to the Caribbean. The westbound from Las Palmas is easy, but you've got to get there. And I think the biggest voyage, everybody thinks about crossing the Biscay. I have been. It's a big thing. It's been in my mind for years, across the Biscay. Actually, by far, the biggest journey is actually from Portugal to Gran Canaria. I'm going to show that one. Where are you going? You do, I'll talk. You find some photos. You're going straight to the return trip?
Yes.
Okay, right. The return journey is across the Atlantic is far more challenging. So challenging I put it off for a year. And there's things I wanted to fix the boat, some improvements I wanted to make to the boat, but we finally went. And sailing westbound is a combination between being becalmed for days on end and then trying to get 2 knots of boat speed out of 3 knots of wind. And the occasional blow.
How I can go back?
You can't go back. Okay.
Because I want to auto this.
What's tricky about sailing, what's easy about sailing to the Caribbean is from Las Palmas you sail south until the butter melts. I thought you were going to show me a tub of butter. And then you turn right and you just carry on sailing. And when you get to the other side you ask around and ask them what they call this place. Because it will be one of the Caribbean islands. Sailing east is technically difficult, strategically challenging, and it's a combination of calms with the occasional storm, and you've got to negotiate it.
How far north did you go before?
I didn't. I elected for the modern approach, which is Peter described as the modified rum line from Antigua.
To where? You didn't go back to the Canaries?
No, you go to the Azores.
Exactly.
The Azores.
You head off towards Bermuda.
Yeah, so the traditional route is that you actually you go northwest to start with, and you can leave from Bermuda.
I
I elected not to go to Bermuda. I didn't want to go to Bermuda, and it would have extended the Bermuda to the Azores is easier, but it adds another week to get to Bermuda. So I went. The idea of going north. Should have gone up to St Martin's. I realised that it would be cheaper and easier shopping to stop. But we left from Antigua and we did all right. And every time you lose wind, you don't sail towards your destination. You sail north to find the wind. Then you can sail east. So you're always playing the systems. So unlike sailing west, where it's just one giant system that you just ride, all the trade winds, you just ride. Boats have been sailing for centuries. Coming back east, you've got to play one system, then find the next system, then you've got to find the next system. And there's sometimes rapid sailing, sometimes you become for several days, and you just try to make progress. And what was interesting, we finally get to the Azores, and everybody, all the sailors, they've all come across the Atlantic to get to the Azores. Instant friendships with many people, and you share your stories.
Here
And we all had the same stories. Yeah.
And what is that sail clacking like to one side to other side, and because no wind, and you trying somehow to manage, and because you want to move forward, you don't want to stop there. So yeah, we try to do this.
Now, some approaches, something motor. But actually, I don't carry on my boat. I can carry enough for about 4 days max.
Storm was putting us. We had fuel. We had like
Yeah, we did
cans
take
of
some
fuel.
spare fuel for if we did need to motor. But
It is how we started.
right, I was going to say something about that. It's all about decision making. So the most important thing is sleep and rest. The biggest challenge for sailing crews is actually looking after each other, not the boat. The boat will sail. Best crew member, Horatio, doesn't need feeding, never loses concentration, but the crew needs to look after each other. So sleep and refreshment is critical. And if it's difficult, yourself from sailing in home waters, if you can't look after yourself, morale dips impressively. We had lots of calms and we had 2 storms. One storm scared me stupid. It was an electric storm and lots of lightning actually shattered. Brett was really scared down below because there was lightning flashing around all over me. I shackled some chain to the catch shrouds to trail in the water to try and improve the grounding, which of course was whipping against the hull, whack, whack, which I couldn't hear, but Brett was down below being whacked all the time inside a great drum. But we didn't get struck by lightning, although I looked up once and I thought I saw St Elmo's fire with the light dancing on the masthead and flashing and lots of sparkles. What happened is that found out the next morning, the masthead light broke off and was dangling by its cable, and the rain that was coming through horizontally was being picked up by this light like a stroboscope. That was me thinking, oh no, does that mean I'm not going to get struck, or I've been struck, or am I going to be struck? But anyway, we lost the light altogether the next day. But yeah, and then the calms, this is the asymmetric, take the main down and you can get it to draw. Apart from that, for a masthead rig, it's apart from this use, it's a waste of time. But that's probably about 3 knots of wind, we're doing about 2 knots of water. And you keep going. That's quite calm. Lots of calms. Icy glasses, sorry. Let's see. And when it's like this, we just took everything down and so let's just get it together. Switch all the alarms on the AIS because you're not going to go anywhere. We went backwards, I think. Right. So there's various people talk about what you can do with a modern boat, like catamarans or high performance boats. You can go round the weather. No, you can't. When this line, this active front extends, this is not an active front, this is preaching crowd straight. What we had was an active front that extended hundreds of miles, but was not very wide. So the informed decision is to run with the wind because you reduce the apparent wind of the boat. But I decided that wasn't the best thing because I'd be running with it in a storm for the next 2.5, 3 days. I decided I want to get across it. So we did this swim on a reach. Yeah, that's really, really glassy on a reach. And we did get it across in, hit us in the afternoon, went through the night. It was scary, but it was okay. We got through. The storm. We had another storm, which was fun. I could best describe it as exhilarating sailing. We had to do a critical jibe and then had the right rig up, and we just creamed down these big waves at 10 knots for the next rest of the evening night. And I actually enjoyed that. I don't know about you, I enjoyed that. But the rest of it was light winds.
Here is this picture.
That's you got to go and decide that you got to get across that. Why is it suddenly changed colour?
I don't know.
An active front. All the weather information's there. A high Cape number. Something about the energy. I did have to do a swim with the Atlantic. We caught a whole lot of fishing net around the rudder, and so you've got to sort it out. Which was you think, I'm not going to stub my toe. It's 4.5 kilometres deep here.
When you were swimming, what safety precautions did you take?
Training rope.
Training rope.
And a rope on me. But we're not actually moving. Yeah, I wasn't so much worried this week, but I had to go to the water on the westbound. I was much more concerned about that because the boat's going downwind. It's pretty classic. Yeah, got the smoking up again there. Just trying to. It was demanding. You're trimming, you're trimming, you're adjusting, you're doing something all the time. I suppose the westbound where the boat just sails. Anyway.
Was it significantly colder?
Yeah, and it gets colder every day. Whereas westbound, it gets warmer all the time. And you're much further south, much further north, and you're in cold currents going eastbound. And we found that we had to find clothes that were stored, get more clothes out. Which is fine. Okay. We can do next. But yeah, what's interesting, a lot of the, you sail both directions, Peter, but a lot of the art boats, they don't sail back. They either have the boats shipped back or delivery crews bring them back. Yeah. And one of the pictures I think skipped through really quickly was in Antigua. We were drinking beer with all the delivery crews. And we were just saying, oh, are you off? Oh, I was thinking about that. Oh, I've got got to do this maintenance to this boat. All these delivery crews, they're checking the boats over and doing last minute maintenance on them and setting off. So one arrives in the Azores. Of the 2 places in the whole cruise that I'd probably go back to, but probably subcontract to Ryanair, is this archipelago. And if anybody has, and I met someone in the high street the other day, I said, you've got to go to the, and he did. He said, oh, thank you for your recommendation. Yeah, we had a great
I
time.
went to post as well.
Okay.
All this in bar were on top messages. It is who want to cross backwards. Messages looking for boat to cross to certain places. Spanish to Spain, French to France, and like all information. If somebody selling, somebody looking for something, so all it is bar like serving some purpose. Here is beautiful music, and because music constantly somewhere is few musicians, they're actually very lucky because they can use the skills and yeah,
They're sailing around the world playing music.
yeah. It was like many places where like
It's always magical, and you felt you deserved to get there after what you've just gone through, you know, all this 3 weeks sailing around the sea.
This was Porto.
This is Porto. This is Peter's Bar, which people know. Everybody goes in there. Definitely everybody goes in there. And the other thing that everybody does, it's traditional, been going on for best part of the last century, is that you've got to leave your artistic mark on the harbour wall. You've got to paint your ship, your crew, your journey, your story on the harbour wall. And so this is one of the few places we actually docked the boat. We anchored at first, and then we enjoyed it, and it's very, very sociable. And there we go, we stopped. I was going to say, you just flip past.
Yes, I wanted
you
to
couldn't
go
stop
back,
it.
but I can't go
You can't go back. What's this? What was that? Takes you back?
Can. If you look at the laptop screen, there's a left arrow.
Sorry?
If you look at the laptop screen, you've got a left arrow.
So yes.
Right. This I wanted as well to. Is it visible? No, not visible.
It's just visible. If you look on very far left.
So that's what Reda painted. That's the Amaryllis. It's going to be our battle flag from now on. Yeah, peace bar. And everybody does it. So the first thing you've got to do is go and find some paint. And everybody's doing it. And did you leave yours? I can't. Don't tell me.
I didn't. The rule is if you paint your picture, then you have a safe journey onwards.
Yes.
And me being, and if you don't, you'll return again. And I was very happy to return. And we left, and that's where we had the steering failure, and we had to go back. I then wrote something, a picture underneath the table in Peter's Bar.
As I said, Reda returning. Now, I took this photograph because this is a typical catamaran. 1,000-litre fuel on the boat, back of the boat. They just motor. They sail anywhere. But yeah, Horta, I'd go there on a holiday for the trekking, walking the scenery. That was Pico in the distance, big volcano crater. It's great trekking, great walking, and lots of people that come out. If anybody does want to go there, this is Pico, which is, if your child was to draw a volcano, they'll probably come up with something similar to that. You can get, apparently you can get Ryanair to Ponta Delgado in San Michel, and then you get the local flight across the water, and then it's ferry boats to the other islands. And it's, that's what we met quite a few European couples who were walking.
We actually went with our family.
You went with your family?
Yeah, quite a few years ago.
Thoroughly enjoyed it, I'm sure.
Young teenagers, loved it.
Yeah, sure. I would, and Pico is famous with some wine as well. Right, where are you going now?
Now we're going already to Canary Isles.
Canary Isles?
But I'm trying to see.
I believe many of you probably been to the Canary Isles, and I know sailed there. But the sail across to the Canary Isles, this is Oscar the owl.
Yes.
I was posting on the Predict Wind, these are daily posts, these little nice was. So I said, we've just been visited by an owl. We're 400 miles off the coast of Morocco. And apparently the owls do that journey quite often. And this one, this suggested it came from Scotland. This is my single-handed sailing bit. We were delayed in Lanzarote for a little longer than I expected, but great health service. Spain.
I can attest to that.
Yes, I was really impressed. In fact, I wrote a Google comment on the medical centre. There were 1,000 comments within a short time. I was really impressed.
How did you do that?
Oh, being stupid. Like all accidents happen when you're being stupid. You know, I needed to dive on the boat, and we'd lost an anode, shaft anode. So I thought I'll put a replacement shaft anode on, and let's work out the system how you do it, because you need 3 hands to do it. What I failed to predict was the ferry boat coming into Banca, and the boat moved around. I put my hand out and I caught the rope cutter. And I thought, oh, that's serious. Better get out of the water. And Reda, you're going to have to learn to use the dinghy quickly. Unfortunately, sharks.
You didn't cut any tendons.
But no, they were quite concerned about every time they were saying, can you move your fingers? Can you move your fingers? Can you move your fingers? They were concerned about the nerve damage.
Yeah.
But I did get to see the inside of my hand, which showed it was nearly, I think it was 9 to 10 stitches or something. It was it healed fine. But I would like to challenge a fortune teller now. My ex-wife. See what she's got to say about that. And this is the great departure point. Peter, you'd know this. We were obviously at anchor because you can't get into the marina because of the arc. The arc completely swamps actually most of the Canary Isles, but certain Las Palmas, and all the local boats have to move out to give space for the arc. So we all anchor, and you can see how close your boats are. And then when you go away from goodbye and be very friendly to them and good luck to them. And then you can get
just for the sake of people who don't know what they are,
the
Atlantic Valley of Cruises.
I had no intention. One of my philosophies of discussing with Peter, because you did that, I had no intention of doing the arc. Waving them off. To my mind, sailing and cruising is safe. Safe cruising. It's all about decision making, and I just felt with the arc, one of the biggest decisions is taken away from you. Very sociable. If anybody wants, I know Ian wants to do the arc. Very, very sociable sailing. Probably more in line with the sailing that a lot of you guys do with your chartering. It is social. Whereas most of the cruises are just couples setting out. And what I always like, we actually set out with came back because Angus broke. But you can, in Las Palmas, you can get a new linear drive. Easy. So this is the social pontoon. Everybody's preparing the boat. The local shops, they bend over backwards to deliver stuff to the boat, and it's the departure point to sail across the Atlantic, and the services are exemplary. Yeah, but yeah, so I like the freedom to make decisions, and the decision of when to sail is the biggest decision. And you wait, and you look, and you wait, you get another forecast, you wait, and then you decide to go. Whereas something like the Ark, the departure date is decided. And I think with that philosophy, I find the sailing that you guys do actually quite stressful. Because you're going on a certain date, you've got to get back to a specific point at a specific time. Oh, this might interest you. This was the biggest decision when we're here. This is a snap of a chart. But look at the numbers. This is 2 days sailing from Portugal towards the Canary Islands. 3 kilometres deep. 3,439 metres. 28. Can you imagine the steepness of that mountain, that underwater mountain? Yeah. We saw this on the chart. I thought, right, I commented on the quite a few readers of the blog.
What's the significance of that colour?
It just came up. For going west, I was using harbour antique, which
a different colour on the top. That's no.
Deeper color, blue color, lower.
It's just a photo. Yeah, I see. So, I can see it. It's your reflection. It's your reflection. That's what it is.
Oh yes,
But this was, to my mind, this was the most difficult part of the voyage. It's about 2 days out from Lisbon, from Cascais, and the big decision, if I turn left, I can head towards Gibraltar and go for the Mediterranean, which Reda wanted to do. But my problem is that I've only got a British passport and I can't cruise the Mediterranean. That freedom was taken away from me a couple of years ago. Reda could, because she's a Lithuanian passport. Do we turn left or do we keep going? If you keep going, there's no return. You've got to complete the whole thing. Because you can't actually say that you can be done, but sailing back from the Canary Islands, even further south of Cape Verde, you can't get back to Europe very easily. The only way of getting back is to actually do the circuit, go across the Atlantic, go to the Caribbean, come back. So that was a big decision. So I know some of you had some questions about preparation. So there was some preparation for the boat, and whether you've got a £100,000 boat or a £30,000 boat, you're going to spend the same amount of time, the same amount of money on preparing it. 60 metres of chain for a start, because you're going to be living at anchor. A water maker, he's got Peter, and then I subcontracted anything to do with comfort or inside the boat. Reda's going to be in charge of that. And I think this is departing from Penzance Harbour, which was our actual departure point.
Suitcases to boat. And I couldn't.
And fitting the most reliable piece of kit we had, which was the hydrovane. That was my retirement present to myself. Wanted one for ages. Very expensive bit of kit, beautifully engineered, and works fantastically. Most reliable crew member you could possibly have. Doesn't need feeding, doesn't complain, doesn't look quite so good as a bikini. But I wouldn't have wanted to do this voyage with anything else. Brilliant. And so was the boat. I wouldn't want to sail it near the boat. Not an ideal boat, but the best boat is the one we got. Because you can actually do it. That's something I wanted to do for ages. Thank you for coming with me. And cruise for company. It's good to have someone who's a confident seamstress on boat.
Did you have to do sales as well?
Oh, did you not?
Really not a lot. Hydrovane. I was watching, my job was while he slept, I needed to watch on screen. And on screen I have these charts which predicted where boat would go. If I see that the boat going already like too much away from this my chart, I like need to, it is just simple to just hydrovane. But sales I didn't trust myself because sometimes I tried, but if start flapping or something, I just got.
No. I don't mean adjusting the sails. I mean, did you have to do any sewing of sails?
Yes. Do you know a few times?
Spray what I needed to refurbish all because it was baggy and leaking. So we took fabric and sails because most often it is just on rail brushing because if all the time like Genoa was all the time brushing.
So the tack of the Genoa
and sun affects terribly.
And the UV damage to the mainsail was quite extensive.
So you had the entire mainsail down below?
Yeah.
Pontoon and a source on
the mainsail's difficult. I actually, with Felix and I, hand-stitched a tear in the mainsail while we just have the spinnaker up and we were stitching it away. It's chafe. The problem is chafe because you're going downwind. So actually one of the things that damaged the mainsail was actually the spinnaker guys and sheets because they went. If you have a reef in the main, often had the sheet would catch it. Now the guy was fine. It was the sheet underneath the main rub. So in a short period of time, it rubs the whole line. Adhesive sail tape and stitch. But Reda we tore the leech of the main several times, didn't we? Several times. UV damage, it just came, as you're furling it, just comes to bits in your hand. It's quite a bit of a few more layers now. But we did the main quite a few times. We did the Genoa. Yeah, then we used a spare main, which we then used for the last season. That's the one I sent a photo, which I ripped last summer. Just suddenly exploded. UV and chafe. And Reda completely rebuilt the spray wood. Canopy, the whole canopy of the spray wood. Made a new one. And she made the Benini. Because the one thing we didn't prepare properly, we left without a Benini frame and Benini. So Reda made one of those parts.
Something like that put to press.
And I can tell one was moment really terrifying. We were going from Canary Islands. When it was calm and just calm absolutely. I always worried that after this will come up wind. But was like, remember, moment was absolutely calm and mast and stars and look like you actually on magic carpet because you don't see far away nothing. It is just mast light around you and you like running in water. And we put in music. Now I can't remember but I know this. We have like Spotify downloaded everything. Music and we were laying and like you see satellite and all stars and everything. And he stand up from bench and said, this boat coming not for good. I said, which boat? 100 miles away from Africa, which boat coming? And I like thought, actually, you like, or you're already this visual, something can play. Or he saw a dream and he just stand up and I thought, it is just,
so tired.
because
so
of tiredness, it is can be that you like already like, or you always outdo this. Because sleep was very, very difficult. And I remember I was across the lane, we were, this Canary Islands actually was part reason my mother. But auto helm was broken and we came back and I thought, I shouldn't go. I somehow don't feel like very, in this mood and I thought I scared and my daughter wanted to go and I thought we will die, we will die, all of us. And because was a moment before Canary Islands, because it was so wavy for me, look, I was laying across and it is just like, you know, this devil is kicking to your window because I across need to lay, because when baby hitting you cannot like lay or you laying across because you need support legs because you will fall, like will roll all the time. So I thought, sometimes you in duties, and I remember he was ringing to the captain of ship to tell, do you see me? Because we here like in this like rock, and I thought that he really that we need to be saved. And I thought, like just these bloody waves, I just hear how they just crashing. Same was when was chain, because he put chain, and I was sitting. I put 2 cushions in front of me because when hitting, you just hitting this table, and I thought I will break my ribs if I will be like I cannot be relaxed. And it just look like this American, you know, like this hills. You coming, and it's just like fast going down, and it is such a noise, and the chain hitting, and it's pause when you like going up, and it is everything slow down, and maybe this will stop. And this moment I can use bathroom and can put kettle, because in other moment I can't. I just hold it myself, and the chain each time when you hit them, and I thought I just feel like sorry for both, because I thought it would be all scratches of this chain, but of course nothing happened for the boat. But this like moments, because in my mind how I understand it is not that because he like I asked him like, oh it is fine. I said I see tanker next to us America, like, oh we don't need, we're fine, we don't need any help, we don't need anything. And then I thought, okay, it is just like how I feel, that he was confident, so I thought, okay, be confident.
Yeah, we had a few protocols that, so the only thing that you have to do is reef. Full rules. So no different from other boats. The time to reef, that's to reduce this. The time to reef is when you first think about it, not when you think it is doing, but when you first think you've dark recess and reef, you just do it. And that's whether it's sailing in the Caribbean, approaching an island, or any time. So the watch keeping, if Reda was thinking it was uncomfortable or leaning a little bit, she'd mention to me, no argument, I got on deck. The other rule we had is that if someone, in my boat, we do everything at the mast. We don't have lines. My opinion is that it should either be done all at the mast or all in the cockpit. It's the boats that are set up where it's going up and down, up and down. But if someone's going up to the mast, they're always We're always clipped on. We always wear life jackets. Life jackets are a misnomer because life jackets are useless. It's the harness. So we're always clipped on.
But also, I didn't mention, we had a system which we can contact coast. So it is like internet, it is a bit not Starlink, but it's this a bit old-fashioned because he prepared before, and when it came up, we just like messages a bit too slow. But I have no any qualification, and I don't have desire to be very special because I would have arguments with him, like, oh, you're going wrong direction or something. So I have no any qualification and nothing, but I knew who I can contact on the coast if I was thinking something going wrong, or he had headache. And it was moment when he said you need to sleep more because you have headache, and I thought, oh my God, if it is some stroke or something, I don't know what I will do. So I knew that I can, his friend or in Penzance, and he will know what to do. So I thought it would be everything like organized.
We had my friend Cedric, whose eyes ashore, and I messaged him daily with where we were and how things were going. I mean, he could follow us as well, but I messaged him daily. Yeah, so there was all. We had Iridium Go. We could well, I'm broadcasting daily on our blog post. If anybody does, it's still there. And I haven't done any grammatical corrections or typos. It's still typed live with a boat trucking around, and I've not corrected any of it. It's quite appalling, some of it. So we're always broadcasting everywhere. We could message, and people would message us. It's great, actually. People messaging us from all over the place. Europe.
Presumably you had an EPIRB.
So we could get email, which wasn't very good, but we could get email by
an EPIRB.
And we have an EPIRB on.
An emergency beacon.
Yeah. It's the emergency position indicating radio beacon. And obviously VHF, but VHS is not getting any at all unless someone's virtually inside. The EPIRB is your last resort. But with the Iridium Go, we also had an American system with SOS. There's a button there that you register and it would go to, and it would actually alert eyes ashore as well. Various rules. So always clipped on, and someone would be in. If I was going forward to the mast, or for anything for that. Whatever time of day, someone ready would be in the cockpit just to watch. Because quite often I forgot to do something. But yeah, to do the brief, I might want to just ease the name of the kicker a bit.
When you were going west, did you need to reef at times?
Yeah.
So did you have to go up to it, up into the wind?
No, I worked out a system where you can do it dead downwind.
Even though the sail was still falling?
Yeah. Good. I even showed Felix how to do it, and he took it to heart. Winches for wimps, and I showed him how to sweat up. Is actually getting the main back up. But you only drop it down enough. Hook on the glue.
But it's presumably it's right out against the shrouds.
Yeah, we put the line round. Well, you don't let it go against the shrouds.
But it's still a lot.
Yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult. It's traditional to yes. It's the informed. The recommended is to go on the reach, but the trouble about if you've got 20 knots apparent downwind, you go on to reach, you're suddenly doing 27 knots. You need to not put one reef in, but two. We had that actually on the Côte de Morte, on coming around Finisterre. We need to put a reef in. I said we need to go off the wind a bit here. And suddenly, it's really vigorous. But yeah. sleep deprivation was the big danger, and I think the most important thing is looking after each other. I still think sailing westbound could have done that. I'm glad it didn't. Felix was good company. Turned out to be actually better chefs than me. I lost the rubber, but it was some really good games, and it was really intelligent. It was interesting hearing about his PhD proposal and wide-ranging conversation, and a lot of politics. And then Eastbound, I'm glad I couldn't have done Eastbound without it. It was absolutely, the contribution was critical. Again, it's rest, and as Reda said, her duty was perceiving if anything had changed. And if something had changed, I had to do something about it. Because my boat is a bit physical, but I do know my way around it.
So sailing back eastwards then, was that enough really to actually, if you thought about going to the Caribbean again, would that journey back be enough for you to not go to the Caribbean, or go to the Caribbean and pay somebody to sail it back?
Reda went like this, but I enjoyed it. It was demanding. I met a guy, he's done the Arc about 15 times now, and he's a yacht master examiner. Did actually offer to examine me, but if I caught up with him back in the he actually prefers the Eastbound. He said it's interesting. The westbound, he found it boring. And do you know what it is? There's nothing to do. I wouldn't want to sail with more than just one other person. We had guests quite often. Sometimes the most we had on the boat, I think, was 4. We had more than that. No, we had 4 on the boat. The boat seems really crowded. There's only enough work for one person to do at a time. It seldom needs 2 to actually sail the boat. Just trying to think, but anchoring, pulling up the anchor perhaps.
Do you have an electric winch?
I do have electric winch now. I've got it just the year before we left.
Because of me, because when we had shoulder problems, I thought I
had rotator cuff surgery, and I thought I'm going to invest in this. But I can still do it. But
you have to,
I can still do it by hand. There are techniques to use. Obviously, if you're doing it by hand, you do need someone else to handle the boat. You need to motor forward. But actual sailing, self-steering, cruise for company, not. You don't need anybody else to sail the boat. It's nice to have a company.
Until you get close in.
Until you get close in. Sailing the boat in blue water is the west. Coming back to the westbound, the most demanding thing, the taxing thing, I think, was when we were 2 days out from Antigua, and suddenly I had to think about the direction the boat was going, because I didn't think about direction before. The boat just sailed, and then suddenly I have to start thinking about just direction. We ought to aim roughly towards Antigua in case we miss it. And the other one is I was worried about getting there in the night. Once you get there in the morning. So you're trying to slow the boat down.
How many hours did you aim to have when you take?
Oh right, okay. So we did. We roughly worked on 4 hours. 4 hours. And the way we did the watches with Felix and I, we did ate together ate, so the person cooked, and we ate together, and then that person was then on watch 9 to 1, and then the next one was 1 to 5, and the next one was 5 to 9. So you did 2 watches at night, or you had 2 watches below at night, and the next day, you didn't have watches during the day, the next day we reversed it. So having 2 sleeps, but you're up in the worst time, was, I can't remember which was worse. We did discuss it quite a bit, which was worse, the double sleep or the double sleep at the really death hours, or the double watch and being down below. And the other thing that's important is if you are on watch below, it's your responsibility to sleep. But we also had the rule that you wouldn't go on deck on level, you wouldn't get forward to reef or anything on your own. You have to wake the other person up. And that's actually difficult because you know that they need to sleep. But you've got to be disciplined. And he was German. I broke the rule once. He gave me such a hard time. He did. Really good telling off.
Well, Chris, thanks very much. Thank you very much.